Hey, welcome. Let's talk about freedom. We all think we know what it is, right? But what if the way we usually define it is actually a trap? Today, we're going to dig into a principle that completely turns that common idea on its head. And honestly, it might just be the key to finding the real thing.
So let's just jump right in with a pretty provocative question. What if doing whatever you want isn't real freedom? I mean, really think about that. What if that whole idea, the power to do whatever we feel like in the moment, what if that's not freedom at all? What if it's actually a trap? A path that doesn't lead to liberation, but to a totally different kind of prison? All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to rethink what freedom even means. Then, we'll get into why this new idea matters so much, and this is the cool part, how something as simple as a clear conscience is the key to it all. We'll also look at why our inner order is so important, and then we'll wrap up with a really practical framework to actually build this kind of freedom in your life.
Okay, let's dive into our first section. It's time to challenge what we've always been told. See, to find real freedom, we first have to get clear on what it's not. So we need a new definition, one that doesn't just sound nice, but one that actually has the power to set us free.
And here it is. This is the big shift in thinking. On one side, you've got the common idea. Freedom is just the right to do whatever I want. But the principle we're looking at today, it flips that completely. It says that real freedom, well, that's the ability to do what you ought to do. It's the power to choose what's right, especially when it's the harder choice.
And this difference isn't just semantics, it's absolutely critical. Because when our freedom is just about chasing our impulses, we can easily become slaves to them. It's like we end up on this hamster wheel of our own making, right? Just a constant cycle of temporary fixes and feeling, dissatisfied. Always chasing the next thing, but never feeling truly, genuinely free.
But on the other hand, true freedom, that leads to this really profound kind of inner liberty. Imagine being totally free from the weight of your past mistakes, no longer being controlled by fear or what other people think. It means you're actually empowered to choose what is good for you, for others, consistently.
So what's the point of all of this? What's the ultimate goal of this kind of freedom? It's not just about, feeling good about yourself. As we're about to see, the real purpose is something so much bigger, and surprisingly, it has everything to do with our ability to love.
And this is such a crucial point. We are set free for something. True freedom isn't the final destination. Think of it more like the fertile soil where genuine, lasting love can actually grow. Without that inner freedom, our attempts to love others often get all tangled up in our own baggage and unresolved issues.
And there's some ancient wisdom that gives us a kind of roadmap for this. It suggests that real love isn't just this random fuzzy feeling. It actually flows from three very specific inner sources: a pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith.
And this creates this really powerful alignment across your past, present, and future. See, a good conscience takes care of your past. It resolves what's been done. A pure heart clarifies your motives right here in the present. And a sincere faith, that gives you a clear, hopeful vision for the future. When all three of those are in harmony, that's when you build a real, sustainable capacity to love.
Okay, so of those three pillars, there's one that really acts as the foundation. It's the key that unlocks the other two. And it all begins with having a clear conscience. Now, a clear conscience isn't about being perfect. Nobody is. It's really about being honest. It's like a precondition for freedom. Just like this ancient proverb says, the stuff we hide, the secret guilt we carry around, it has power over us. It literally binds us. But bringing it out into the open, through confession, that's what breaks the bond.
There's actually a great story that illustrates this perfectly. It's about someone who is haunted well into their adult life by the memory of stealing something as a kid. That unresolved guilt was just this constant weight, a kind of invisible prison. And they realized, to finally be free, they couldn't just keep ignoring it. They had to actually go back and make it right.
And that's exactly what they did. They went back, they found the people they'd wronged all those years ago, and they confessed. Can you imagine how vulnerable that must have felt? But what happened next was just transformational. Their confession wasn't met with anger, but with acceptance and with forgiveness.
And the result was incredible. The person described the feeling as just pure peace. They said, "This was the first time I ever experienced freedom of conscience." Just like that, the weight was lifted, the bond was broken. I mean, that is the power of clearing our past to unlock our future.
So, once we've cleared our conscience, how do we keep this newfound freedom? Well, it really comes down to restoring a very specific inner order, a proper alignment inside ourselves.
So the right order for a life of freedom looks like this. At the very top, you have your spirit. That's your connection to purpose, to truth. That should be guiding your psyche, your mind, and your emotions. And then your mind and emotions, in turn, should govern your body, your physical desires, your habits. To put it simply, spirit leads mind and mind leads body. That's the healthy design.
But look what happens when that gets flipped completely upside down. This is the order of bondage. Suddenly, our body, our physical cravings, is in the driver's seat. Our mind then starts working overtime, not to guide, but to rationalize those desires. And our spirit, our connection to what really matters, it gets buried, weakened, ignored. We might tell ourselves we're free, but the truth is, we've become slaves to our own appetites.
And you know how this whole downward spiral usually begins? It's often with a really simple, almost innocent-sounding question we ask ourselves when we're up against a boundary. Why can't I? That little question, that small act of defiance, that's often the very first step toward letting our desires take over and kicking off that whole inversion of our inner order.
Okay, so if we find ourselves stuck in that upside-down state, how do we get back? Is there a way out? The good news is yes. There's a clear, practical path we can take to recover our inner order and build a freedom that actually lasts. All right, here are the 6 stages on that path to recovery. First, you have to diagnose. Really name what's holding you captive. Is it guilt? Fear? What? Second, decide. Make a conscious choice that you want to be free. Third, and this is huge, stop hiding. End the secrecy, stop the rationalizations. Fourth, confess and correct. Go make things right wherever you possibly can. Fifth, you have to consciously realign that inner order. Spirit, then psyche, then body. And finally, number 6, you build new habits. You start with small, consistent acts of choosing what you know is right.
And really, that's the key takeaway here. This kind of freedom, it isn't some magical emotion that just shows up one day. It's more like a muscle. It takes intentional exercise. It has to be built, day by day, choice by choice, until it becomes your new default, your new strength. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to think about. What is one thing you know you ought to do, but you just don't feel free enough to do it right now? Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's being more honest about something, or breaking a bad habit. Just identifying that one thing, well, that could be your very first step on the path to real, lasting freedom.